We have on the line the Regional Communications Manager, Accra East Region, Ghana Water Limited, Nana Yaberima Bani. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Per your jurisdiction, where do you cover? Which areas do you cover?
Right. I am in charge of Accra East Region. So Accra East Region.
Please, we are finding it difficult to hear you. So if you can reposition yourself and maybe you can speak a little louder for us, we'll be grateful.
Right,
so we can go on. Which areas do you cover?
okay. So as I was saying, I'm responsible for communication in Accra East Region. Accra East Region covers places like Dabraka, Accra Central, Railway Station, of course, Station Nungwa, Adencha, Madina, Cantonment, Laboni, La, Dodowa, Oibi, Amanfro, Railway Estate. So all these areas are communities that are under the Accra East Region of Ghana Water Limited.
And with the areas,
it's not exhaustive. I will not be able to mention all the names, but I'll give you a mental picture of the areas that fall under Accra East Region.
And with the areas you've mentioned, per what you know, which of these areas have water and which ones do not?
Well, as far as we know, we supply water to all these areas. So unless somebody or a resident living in a particular community comes to inform us that their water is not flowing, so we will be able to go to those communities and then find out why their water is not flowing. I remember about 3 weeks ago or 2, one of your reporters by name Joseph was in my office with a complaint from a resident of Tudu behind the Accra Technical University that her water has not been flowing. So I informed the reporter. In fact, I granted an interview to your station and mentioned that we are not aware that that area has a water problem because we serve Accra Technical University. So we expect that on the days that we are serving the university, people who live around the area should also be able to get water. So we will go there and verify, find out why that customer is not getting water. Following through with our promise, we went there and then we realized that the lady's meter had been blocked with sediment. Over time, it happens that your meter may be blocked. So after they had removed whatever had blocked the meter, the water started flowing. And in fact, before you heard the story 3 days ago in the evening, I personally called that customer and she confirmed to me that their water started flowing after our team had been there. So we would want to urge our customers or consumers generally that if your water is not flowing, they should do well to approach us, come to our office. There is always, an office nearby. All these areas we have offices, so you can go and make your complaints. And after you have made a complaint, we will also follow up and see how we can help you to get water. We understand the importance of water. It is said water is life. It is not just a cliche, it's not just a mere thing. It means without water, life is impossible. So we expect that if residents or consumers are not getting water, they will kindly approach us and we will find out how we can assist them to get water.
Nana, we appreciate your efforts at helping restore supply to some of these areas. But now you've placed the call to consumers to report to you. I am a bit concerned with this call because from where I sit, it looks like you're placing the responsibility of monitoring on the consumer. do you have your own mechanism to detect whether there is a problem in certain areas? Say you have scheduled supply to this particular area. If there is a challenge and that supply doesn't go through, what mechanisms do you have internally to be able to detect same?
Okay. Well, in our office, we are unable to determine that water is not flow. But normally, when we push water to communities, we try and go there to find out whether the water is flowing. So this is what we do. But there are times also that customers themselves will call us and tell us this is what is happening, this is what is happening. I get calls since I came here. I get calls from Airport Hills and places, and then they tell me, I'll just tell the distribution manager or the team, and they'll go there. If there's a challenge, they try to find out how the challenge can be resolved, and subsequently they begin to get water. In fact, it's been working since I came here in February. So this is what we have been doing, sir.
All right. So it seems like this water problem is not just in Accra or maybe around where you actually control, but it's almost everywhere in Ghana. Do you have an idea what the root cause of the current water shortage in these affected areas are?
Thank you very much. I must mention that water supply, especially in the dry season, like the period in which we are now, is always a challenge. When you get into the dry season, it's always a challenge. Why is that so? Because during the dry season, it does not rain, so we don't have fresh inflows of water into the river base, into our dam. So the levels begin to go down and down and down and down and down. Like Western region where I just, returned from. The river front goes down by the day. It gets to a point that if you are not even careful, you may not even get water to drink.
Right.
So we are not able to get enough volume to be able to abstract and treat. So this is why, at the moment, I hear in Tamale there's a huge issue there because, the river, the source water is virtually not there. So this is a challenge. And if the water is not there, it means you are not able to get what you need to abstract and then treat, transmit, and distribute. So this is the problem. But whenever we get into the rainy season, these complaints almost fizzle out because the source river, the volume of water goes up. So we are able to abstract as much as we want. Then also, apart from the unavailability of the raw water for abstraction, there is also the challenge of capacity. All over the country, the places that we serve as a company, our capacity is such that it is unable to meet the demand. And once you are not able to meet the demand, definitely some places will suffer. If it was the case that as and when we realize there is a problem in capacity, we can mobilize resources quickly and expand, there will not be any problem. But here's the case when it's a bit difficult to be able to mobilize resources and then expand and then increase access. In Western region, for example, it is now, over the year, there has been a big problem. It is now that the government has, sourced for a loan for us to be able to build a new treatment plant, which is going to produce over 20 million gallons of water, for the community, for the metropolis. So once that is done, I'm sure this problem will be a thing of the past. So generally, the problem has to do with capacity. We don't have enough capacity to meet the demand. So we realize that the demand for the water far outstrips the supply of the service. So that is the major problem.
Right. So do you have any, say, long-term plans that will help prevent these water shortage issues?
Okay, I think the new minister, our sector minister, has said to us that the government actually prioritizes the supply of water, because water is used for everything, everywhere, everything. In fact, there's nothing you do in this world that you don't need water. Everything you do, you need water. So the government puts higher priority on the provision of water. So they will do what they can to enable us. Where we need to expand capacity, we will do so. Whatever needs to be done in order for us to be able to meet demand, I'm sure the government is committed to help us. And once that is done, as for us, in fact, Ghana Water Company, it is said, has the best engineers, in terms of water supply industry. So once it is done, we will also be able to create these plants and then meet the demand of our consumers.
You made mention of some water lines blocking, specifically in Tudu, when our reporter came there to have a conversation with you. Is that to say that some human activities or things we are doing ourselves also contribute to this?
Well, for that one, I would say no, a big no. The blockade I'm talking about, our pipes, some of them are metal, some of them are all kinds of materials that are used. And over time, the internal lining, some of them, there are linings within the pipes. So over time, the internal lining of the pipes begin to peel off. And as they peel off, where do they go? They run along with the water that we supply. So you find out that these peelings will block your meter or block your service line, so water will not be able to pass through unless it is removed. There's what you call encrustation. So over time, these things sometimes they reduce the size of the water, of the pipeline, because of these things that have accumulated within the pipeline. So that is the reason why sometimes you find some people's meter being blocked. But I will not put it to human activity. No, I will not put it to that.
All right, Nana, thank you. Let's just look at within your area. I don't know if Galamsey is a factor whether we can attribute or relate to the challenges we are witnessing.
No. I will not. I will say a big no, because here in Accra, we get our sources from. We have 3 sources. We have Pond.
Okay.
Yes, and Volta River. So far, I've not seen Galamsey, on the Volta River. Not yet. I've not heard about Galamsey on the Volta River. Then we have the Densu River, which has been dammed at Ouija.
Right.
But Ouija has raw water availability every the year round, all the time we have water in that dam.
Right.
And then also we have what you call the desalination plant at Teshi.
Teshi, yes.
The desalination plant. The sea never dries with rain. You understand? So the seawater is always available. As long as our equipment is in top shape, we can continue to produce. So for Accra, I will not say, unless somebody can prove me wrong, I will not say there is illegal mining that is disturbing us and not helping us to be able to produce water. No, I would say no, sir.
Very well. The rains are coming. I mean, we've started experiencing rains in parts of the capital already. Let's start off with the Ouija Dam. When are we expecting a spillage, and what advice would you have for residents within the area?
This is something that is quite concerning. It's become a ritual that every year Ghana Water Limited will spill the excess water and people's homes will flood. And after the flood waters have receded, we carry on with business as usual. I think this week, in fact, being in the Accra East region, I am not directly in charge of Ouija, the spillage and all of that. It is
Right.
head of my boss, Stanley Martin, who is in that. But I heard that we have started what you call the sensitization, the awareness creation, so that people will know we are just about to not spill. So they will take precautionary measures to avoid any unfortunate incidents. So that sensitization has started with the assembly and with NADMU and all of that. So we have started. But I will not be able to tell when the spilling will start because, as I said, I'm not directly responsible for that activity, sir.
Very well. But again, with the rains coming in and, of course, the challenges that you have already helped us to establish regarding the dry season, what assurances can you give people in affected communities that with the onset of the rains, there will be at least some level of stability regarding water supply?
Yeah. In fact, this is something that I have tested, I have witnessed over the years, that whenever we get the rainy season, these problems, if they don't, as I said, settle out completely, they are minimized. All these problems are minimized. It is true. I'm telling the truth. So once the rain sets in, definitely the raw water will be available. And the raw water is what we abstract. That's a major raw material that we abstract. So once we get enough water, I mean, you will see that the supply has significantly improved. So I can assure our customers all over where the problem is because of lack of raw water availability. So once we get into the rainy season and the levels rise, the levels go up, we will be able to abstract enough water for treatment. Maybe residents of Secretary Accra are listening to me. They know. In fact, there was one radio station, the presenter had always been talking about Ghana water, not serving water. Just before I came, one day he called me to his station and was commending Ghana water highly. Why? Because the water is always on. It's always on. So, I told you it is because of lack of raw water. So once the raw water is available, the equipment, everything is in top shape, and we will be able to produce. So this is something I'm sure the residents in those communities that are affected also know, like Cape Coast, Sikanita, Elmina, and surrounding communities. Whenever we are in the rainy season, we don't experience these problems. So please rest assured that with the coming of the rains, all these problems will be resolved almost completely. All
right.
Nana, thank you so much for talking to us. After the show, there's an issue I want you to help us with. This might not be within your jurisdiction, but there's an estate somewhere near Pram. There's an issue, a very disturbing one going there. So they are not connected. Pipes have not been laid to the area. The residents have come together to put resources together to have the GWL connect water to the area for them. However, one of your officers in the area keeps ballooning the price or the sum that it will cost them to connect. They go to him, this day it is one figure. They go marshal the resources, put together, come up with the money. They go, by the next day, it has tripled. They are really concerned. I actually have a voice note from them. I'll send it to you after, and hopefully you can look into it for us and help us help these residents address this issue.
No problem. You can get me the contact person.
Very well, Nana. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Resolve issues that are not in our region.
Sure.
Not taking a phone, so that's not a problem.
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm sure the people of Western Region miss you already. Nana, thank you. We're grateful to you for talking to us.
I'm grateful. Very
Right.
good.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So we have the communications manager for the Accra East region, that is Nana Berima Bania, who is the communications manager there. This